Welcome to Before the History TV. The First World War in history, the 7 Years' War pitted Britain and France against each other and their allies for supremacy, mostly in North America and Europe, but also in India, Africa, the Caribbean, and the sea. Known as the French and Indian War, this 9-year struggle terminated France's land power status in America and was the first Anglo-French conflict over their colonies in North America. It began in 1754. The Great Lakes in Canada were mostly under French control by the 1750s, while Britain held on to its 13 colonies along the eastern coast. British, French, and Native American forces quickly found themselves at odds in the frontier regions surrounding the upper Ohio River Valley. Officially, the conflict began when the French disregarded a young George Washington's British admonition to avoid the region surrounding modern-day Pittsburgh. The French and their Native American allies were ahead of the British early in the battle. But when Louisbourg, Quebec City, and Montreal were taken by the British in the 1758, the tide shifted. Because the British Navy was able to successfully prevent French ships from reaching the colonies, its dominance played a decisive role in the conclusion of the French and Indian War. In addition, Britain acquired French lands in West Africa, Guadeloupe, Martinique, and India when it stormed Pondicherry in 1761. However, throughout Europe, the war was fueled by resentment between Austria, the empire that had historically influenced the German states in Central Europe, and Prussia, which was vying for more power. In the War of Austrian Succession, Prussia had taken the wealthy province of Silesia from the Austrian Habsburgs, and their attempt to regain it marked the beginning of the European battle. The Prince-Elector of Hanover, who was also the monarch of Britain, was being attacked by France at the same time. In the pact that Britain signed, Prussia promised to defend Hanover. As a result, France formed an alliance with Russia, which was afraid of Prussian expansion to the east, and Austria, its longtime foe, in what is known as the Diplomatic Revolution. Later, Spain joined the coalition. Before the failed siege of Prague in 1756, Frederick the Great of Prussia, a brilliant strategist, attacked Saxony, starting the European War. It was also no longer possible for France to force itself on the state, even after its initial offensives against Hanover were successful. Prior to the death of Russian commander Tsarina Elizabeth in 1762, Prussia was thwarting the Russians and Austrians on the Eastern Front, but at a high cost. In order to avoid going to war with Prussia, her successor promptly signed a peace pact. The Spanish Empire chose to form an alliance with France in the West in order to challenge British hegemony. But the Spanish invasion of Britain's ally Portugal ended in a crushing loss for both France and Spain. Furthermore, Spain lost to Britain its possessions in Manila and Cuba. Over 1 million people died during the 7 Years' War, which also produced 2 treaties. By freeing Saxony, the Treaty of Hubertusburg undermined Austria's safe face while forcing it to cede Silesia to Prussia, which gained recognition as a new significant European power. With the British triumph in the 1763 Treaty of Paris, the French and Indian War in America was formally over. All of France's colonies were lost, with the exception of Pondicherry and a few in Senegal and the West Indies. Only after the French Revolution and Napoleon's ascent did its dominance in Europe come to an end. The treaty awarded the British Florida in return for Louisiana and returned Manila and Cuba to Spain. In order to drive rival European nations out of North America and establish Britain as the world's most powerful nation, with the most powerful navy, it was granted Canada and Florida. The American War of Independence began because the British planned to impose high taxes on their colonies in order to pay off war debts, which greatly infuriated Americans. They would eventually join American patriots in opposing the British during the Revolutionary War as a result of the French defeat. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and watch the next video if you like this one.